dreams. Nice warm tea, we can feel stress-free. Soft voices and a lot of laughs. It's the Mundane Podcast.
Hello there. How's it going? My name's Chris. This is the Mundane Podcast with Chris, and I'm the Chris, and this is my friend Dave.
Hello, everybody.
And every week, or every other week, or whenever we release these, we talk about the mundane things and about the wonderful, magical things behind them. And I suppose that's as good a summary as any, would you say, Dave?
That was a pretty good one, that was. Yeah. That might be the best. Concise, said it all, but without saying a lot.
That's the dream, you know. I'm just trying to get it just right. I've tried so many, and if you listen to them back to back, there doesn't sound like much between them. But the thing that you don't know is that sometimes it will take me 5 attempts to get this opening right. So, So let's do this, okay, Dave. So today we are doing a mundane first. We are looking at a mundane animal.
Oh, this is exciting.
It took me a while. It took me a while to think about what the first mundane animal we could talk about was until someone suggested it to me. I was like, what a great idea. So I'm going to give you 3 guesses with 0 clues what you think a mundane animal is.
Okay.
Quintessential mundane animal.
Okay. Guess number 1. Cow.
No, that will be a good one. These are all going to be future episodes. These are all great ideas.
Oh dear. I don't know whether to go for another farmyard animal. Maybe I'll leave the farm for this guess. Every time I think of what might be a mundane animal, I think of something fascinating about that animal as well. It's like, okay, no. But I bet there's going to be something fascinating about this animal.
Oh, there is.
I'm trying to guess. Yeah. Okay, guess number 2. It's really hard, man. It's really hard. I'm going back to the farm. Chicken.
No, not chicken.
Okay, damn it. Damn you, farm. Okay, I've got to leave the farm.
You got to leave the farm.
Right.
That would be my. You can.
Okay, here we go. I'm leaving the farm. The farm. Nearby, down the road, there's a pigeon.
No, pigeon would be a good one. No, okay. My first clue then is that it's a pet. Common household pet.
Common household pet.
That's mundane. Sometimes you will adopt this pet by accident. You might even go out for a nice family day out and then come back with that pet that you now have to look after.
Cats.
If you go on a family day out, you just find yourself with a cat.
No, because Joy was literally telling me the other day, I think it was Joy, how her friend's got a cat that gets in people's car engines. It just hides under the bonnet, somehow doesn't die, and just goes on rides and goes missing. And miraculously, they've got this cat back. I don't know how many times it's happened.
Funnily enough, at my work, it's on a farm and there is a cat, and we have delegates that come in and do training stuff. And the cat, Pedro, has a tendency to climb in people's cars, and people will be driving down the motorway, and then they just hear meow, and they're like, oh no, and they have to turn around and go back. So Pedro has been like on many holidays about. And funnily enough, Pedro would probably eat this pet. If you introduce this pet into your home, first thing Pedro would do, he'd walk up, he'd try and eat this pet.
What's a mouse? Guinea pig?
You go on a family day out to somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe you play a game and you win. And
Goldfish.
All of a sudden, a goldfish.
Of course.
Goldfish, David.
How could I not think of it? That's so obvious.
See, it took me a while to think of what the most mundane was. My original one was going to be a hamster. I was like, hamsters are quite mundane. But then also, they're also not. So, like, there's a bit of adventure in them. They've got puffy cheeks and they're really cute. And if you haven't seen the YouTube video, Tiny Hamsters Eating Tiny Burritos, you are missing out. So I thought, goldfish, quite a mundane animal today. So I've got quite a few articles up. So I'm going to see how many we get through with this new recording time we're trying.
Yeah, we've been told to keep it short by the bosses.
by me. By me. And also my Zoom premium subscription has gone down. So we only have 40 minutes to record this episode, including the chitter chatter before. So we're going to keep this to a nice, smooth, breezy episode.
So I'm just going to speak a lot quicker for this episode because then we
Yeah,
can
that's it. We've got to fill in the time.
You know?
We're filling the time.
Yeah.
So I found a website called the goldfishtank.com.
Nice.
Which basically is a website that basically says we are dedicated to telling the world about goldfish and keeping aquariums. And I was like, okay. And this is an article called Goldfish Facts, 20 mind-blowing facts about the goldfish.
Mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. So I hope everybody, if you're wearing hats, they are securely fashioned for these mind-blowing facts.
Blow my mind.
Some of these are quite actually mind-blowing. Fact number 1, goldfish don't have stomachs.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Is that a pop? Is that on a mind blowing scale? How blown is your mind?
Like, you know those little white banger things that you buy that you come in a little box.
Snaps,
and it was like a little mind snap.
Yeah, so goldfish don't have stomachs and therefore should be fed easily digestible food in lots of small feeding sessions rather than lots of food at once. This is why goldfish produce so much waste and why you need a filter to keep their water clean.
Ah, there you go.
So there you go. Fact number 2. I'm going to try and find the most mind-blowing facts. There's some other facts we should come back to.
Yeah.
Goldfish can't close their eyes because they don't have eyelids.
That is interesting because I'm sure other fish have eyelids.
Some fish do.
Yeah. Probably still just a mind snap though. Like we've not got to firecracker yet.
Yeah. Okay. Goldfish lay a lot of eggs. A female goldfish will lay hundreds or even thousands of eggs in a single spawning. However, only a small proportion of these will be fertilized.
That actually sounds probably about right. These are not mind-blowing yet. Not yet. No. Either that or I'm just not very easily pleased. Like, to me, mind-blowing, it would be like goldfish can read. You know? That would blow my giddy mind.
The goldfish's favourite author is Stephen King. They love being scared. And they don't mind because they don't have eyelids to close their eyes. So, admittedly, if you don't have eyelids, reading would probably be the best kind of... Or competitive video gaming.
Yeah, like esports or something, yeah.
Yeah, not being able to... goldfish don't urinate.
That's more interesting than most, actually.
Yeah.
That's like 4 of them bangers at the same time.
Yeah. No fish urinate. Instead of expelling ammonia by urinating, as mammals do, fish filter ammonia from the water using their gills. So in a way, they kind of pee out their gills. In a way.
Right, yeah.
In the same way, this blew my mind, a fact that I learned recently. This is a human fact. And I've had debates with people, but this is scientifically true, is if you hold in a fart, eventually it gets broken down and comes out your breath. You don't have farty breath, but the chemical makeup of what you kept in your stomach, that gas, comes out through burps and breath.
It's got to get out one way or another.
It's got to get out one way, but you don't burp farts, but technically you do burp farts. There you go. Check that up and write in, listeners.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
I've had like an hour and a half debate in a pub getting up scientific papers to go at this. Like the article that I originally read it in was not good enough. And you know what? That's fair enough. So I went through the references and I found all the papers. It was like, no, there are levels of methane and other things that can go through and get processed out through your mouth instead of if you really hold in those farts, which is actually going to be relevant to later, but we'll come to that.
Okay.
Goldfish can grow to over a foot long.
That's quite big. I don't think I've ever seen a goldfish that big.
Yeah, so they're usually stunted by being kept in tanks that are too small for them and where the water quality is poor. This means they don't reach their full potential size. Maybe the same could be said about people. Maybe we all need bigger houses. That's why millionaires are all really tall, right? If you live in a mansion, you're massive. Elon Musk, giant.
And gold.
He's a gold man. There's goldfish and gold man. And he's a gold man Sachs, isn't he?
He is.
Do you know what the collective noun for goldfish is?
Well, obviously a group of fish is a school. but there's a different specific word. Goldfishes.
No, like the collective noun for it. So you have a herd of cows.
Oh, okay.
A
A
mer-
school of goldfish.
No, a murder of crows.
Um,
Oh, what was it? An owl.
an ecstasy of goldfish.
No, that would be a good one. It's close. It's a troubling. A troubling of
A
goldfish.
troubling.
So, oh, look, a troubling of goldfish. If I remember correctly, a collection, I'm going to check this as I say it, a collection of owls is called a parliament.
I think you're correct.
That's my pub quiz knowledge coming in there. Collective now is called a parliament. So there you go. Not about goldfish, already on a minor tangent, but yeah, a collection of owls is called a troubling. No, it's called a parliament, which in itself is troubling.
It is somewhat, actually. Maybe our country would be better off run
By owls,
if the actual parliament was filled by owls. Yeah,
we can wonder.
we can wonder. You don't know till you try it, do you?
Till you try it. We're going to try it this week. We're going to just for a week. We're going to have a load of owls run the country. Let's see how it goes. They've already got the name. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the Houses of Parliament is actually just the House of Owls.
Yeah.
All actually work from home, the actual politicians, and they work in their constituencies and do stuff. And the owls that are running the country. So maybe owls are already running the country and it's not doing well.
Yeah, maybe owls caused COVID. Well, like bird flu. That's,
That's true. That's true. Can't argue with that. I was thinking I'm going to have to cut this bit, but as soon as that joke came in, I was like, you know what? It's staying in. It's staying in, future Chris. Let's keep this in. How long do you think a goldfish have a memory span for?
Okay, well, this is probably one of those like questions on QI where the alarms go off.
I was hoping you were going to do it. I was ready. Yeah.
So it's obviously longer than however many seconds people think it is. So I'm going to say it's actually 3 weeks.
3 months. So 3
months.
was the right number.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 months apparently. There's not really much more of a fact on that. It does have a reference, but to be honest, do we really need to go? In fact, I just had another check. I clicked onto the link that it was doing it, and it was actually its own article. And then, in fact, the article that it referred to, as in an article they wrote themselves, has no citations, and then actually says your goldfish can actually remember things for at least 5 months. So already, it's already wrong. So yeah, they're not even internally.
Who even
consistent.
knows? How do they know? How do they find out?
Hold on a minute, though. Okay, so this is quite a long, boring article about goldfish memory. But at the very, very end, it says, the best part is you don't have to take our word for it. Why not try testing the memory of your own goldfish? And then I've clicked that link and it's come to a different article by a completely different company. Now, this is the Australian news network ABC.
Okay, yeah, I know of them. I've heard their name around.
So that's what it's referencing here. And it talks, and it references the scientific experiment. But I'm going to read this article about the memory because I think this is going to help. So this is from ABC News in Australia. There is a popular belief that goldfish only have a 3-second memory span, and every lap of their fishbowl is like seeing the world for the first time. Children's films like Disney's Finding Nemo, in which one of the main characters is a dory that suffers from short-term memory loss, have done little to dispel the myth that fish are dumb. But a 15-year-old schoolboy from Adelaide has just debunked that theory. He has conducted a simple experiment which proves the humble goldfish is smarter than we think. He decided to get a bit of red Lego and just fed them next to the piece of red Lego. Then every day, he'd put it in and sprinkle food around it. At first, they were a bit scared of it, but by the end of the 3 weeks, they were actually almost coming before I put the food in. After leaving the fish alone for a week, Rory placed the red Lego block in the tank again. They remembered perfectly well. They actually had a time faster than the average of 3 feeds before they left. So this showed that goldfish not only could retain information, but they had the ability to recall it at a later date.
There you go.
So essentially he put some food in around a Lego brick, dropped the Lego brick, and they'd be like, oh, food, blah, blah, blah. And then he dropped it in without, and they were like, oh, food, straight away. They went straight for the Lego brick. So they become accustomed and they adapted around to that. Did you ever do any experiments on your Pets as a child?
Um,
Murder any animals? Murder any small animals as a child?
I think I did. Like pour a boiling kettle of water in an ant's nest.
Did you do that really?
Yeah. It was in the back garden. I think my brothers told me to, or someone told me to.
And then you started skinning cats and eventually worked your
Yeah.
way up to people.
Well, that's what they all do, you know. They all start with the kettle on the ant nest.
Kettle on the ants. That's what happens, you know. Kettle on the ants, mass murderer. That's how it goes. So, okay. So what was it? Were you curious? How did you feel? This is turning into a therapy. How did it feel pouring boiling water onto a pile of ants?
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to remember because it was such a long time ago, and it doesn't feel like a significant memory of my childhood. But I think maybe I was slightly disappointed that it didn't, not more happen. Like it just went down there and washed them away and obviously burnt them all. But I thought maybe something really exciting would happen. Maybe
Like, just like, I killed them and I felt nothing.
Yeah, I felt
just
nothing,
like the
hollow.
cats.
So,
Like
well,
my
I
neighbours.
just want to feel. I just want to feel, you know. And one day, I hope I can. I'll just have to keep killing until I do.
This isn't funny. Don't kill people, everybody. This
Yeah,
is
no,
fun.
don't.
This is funny.
We don't condone.
We don't
killing.
condone. No, the mundane
Not even
podcast.
ants. Not even ants.
No.
I'm sorry to that ant's nest that I poured the kettle down. I'm sorry, ants.
Yeah, it's okay, ants.
Especially after watching Bug's Life.
You
Well,
just
it was-
stopped. You just stopped speaking there. I was just like,
Well,
okay.
Well, you know, then they put names and voices on those ants.
Were there many ants in the book?
And they were kind of adorable. Weren't the most of the main characters ants in Bug's Life? There was other bugs too,
Oh, maybe. I was thinking of the film Ants.
but I don't think I've seen ants, so I can't really use that in the same way. I suppose I could. Nobody would have known, but I'm honest. You know, I'm all about honesty. And Bug's Life that does have ants in, and you feel for those ants.
Yeah, you do.
If I'd have seen that before the kettle, no, I wouldn't have done it.
You wouldn't have done it.
No.
So there you go. That's that. So maybe that's what people need to do to stop me. I'm not going to go into this. Right. Okay. So did you ever have a goldfish growing up, Dave?
I did, yeah.
What was its name?
Do you want to take a wild guess?
Fish.
No, but
Goldie.
No, but still, like you're kind of like not far off, like something really kind of obvious, you know.
Floater.
You're getting closer, actually.
Floaty.
No, it's not a float word. but
Fin.
Just by moving away from fish to water-based things, you've got closer. You know, that's what I'm
Swimmy.
saying. Began with a B.
But buoyant. Buoyant would be actually a really good name for a fish.
That would be, wouldn't it? I'm gonna go buy a fish and I'm gonna call it. Or you can do. You
No,
can.
when we get the mundane offices together, when we finally
we'll
make
have
this
we'll have
real
a fish
thing,
called Buoyant,
We'll have a fish called Buoyant.
and it will be so buoyant.
It'd be so buoyant.
And then my goldfish. Do you want me to tell you now?
Yes,
Or do you want to
please.
keep guessing? It was called Bubbles.
Bubbles, of course. Oh, and what was it? Bubbles was just a golf. How did you win him at a fair?
No, I don't think I won him at a fair. I think actually got him from a pet shop somewhere because he lasted a long time, and a lot of the ones you get from the fair, I think, don't tend to live very long.
I know, it must be such a hard life. I don't think they do it anymore. I don't know if it's illegal now.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's definitely not illegal. I've seen them a bit more, but I think a lot of people are like, no, actually, that's pretty cruel.
Yeah. Doesn't seem right, does it?
Yeah.
But I'm sure I had a friend. I'm sure his goldfish lived for a long, long, long time, and I swear he told me that he got that one from a fair.
Really? Well, I suppose if you catch them at just the right time, if they're only very young and they've not been through the trauma of being constantly moved around to different places.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's crazy, really, when you think about it. It should be illegal. They are living creatures, and it is very cruel to kind of just fob them off. Because, you have to get a tank, and normally people don't get filters or anything. They just get them to do it, and they just, live horrifically cruel things. So the Mundane Podcast does not condone winning fish at Funfest.
No, we don't. No. We don't test animals either. Just
No, we
throwing
don't
that
test.
out there.
We do not test this podcast on animals.
No. Some might accidentally hear it when I'm playing it in the kitchen, like if there's a spider or whatever. But that's circumstance.
Exactly.
I didn't put the spider in that room.
Actually, we do it as a positive test. We want those flies that are going to get caught and potentially eaten to have a nice final moment, enjoying.
They get to listen to us.
They get to listen to us, and they offer their honest feedback because they know they're going to die anyway. So they're lying there wrapped up, paralyzed because of the venom, and they're like, "Zzz," and we're like, what did you think to the newest episode? And they'll be like, well, actually, I think it went on a bit too long. Oh, thank you. That's very honest feedback.
That's honest. Some of the most constructive, honest feedback
And then we go,
you might get.
Yeah. Then we go, Charlotte, eat him. And he's like, okay. That's how spiders eat. That's the sound of spiders.
Yeah. If you could get a tiny little microphone and crank the gain, that's what it would sound like.
Yeah.
Probably actually is, so it'd be something.
Yeah, that's probably true actually. So, what happened? What happened to Bubbles?
I don't think he jumped out the tank. Actually, no, he may have jumped out the tank at one point, but we got back in. But we got him back in.
You watched his suicide attempt and you were like, not today.
I think we just found him floating one day. I think he just died in his tank. I think he lived at least a couple of years. He wasn't very big. It wasn't a very big tank that I had for him. It's like a goldfish bowl type thing,
Yeah.
I don't even think I had a filter for him, actually.
Do you clean him out regularly?
Yeah, I did all that stuff. Yeah.
So when you found him, was he floating?
Or was he sinking? I can't be sure. Maybe I didn't find him.
Let's pretend you found him floating. Okay.
Yeah.
Because a floating goldfish isn't normally a dead goldfish.
Oh, really?
That is actually another myth. So if your fish is swimming upside down or is just floating and not moving much, it's actually because they are constipated.
Oh.
Or they have a condition called swim bladder disease. And this is also from the goldfishtank.com. This was an interesting article I found by it. So swim bladder disease is one of the most common problems affecting goldfish. If you've seen your fish swimming upside down or on its side, you've seen a swim bladder problem. Often called a disease, it's actually a symptom that can have a different number of causes. There is not one specific disease that is the cause of all swim bladder problems in goldfish. Proper goldfish care can prevent most swim bladder problems. Also, have you noticed already that it says bladder? And we've established that goldfish don't pee. So the bladder here is going to have a different meaning. They have
I've heard the word bladder used in other ways. I can't remember exactly. Might be in a car or.
Yeah, so they have a swim bladder. And basically, it's when a fish loses its ability to regulate the air going in and out of its swim bladder, which causes the fish to swim strangely on its side or even upside down. And often, it's the swim bladder is what helps keep them stable in the water. And there's lots of different causes as established, and the most common one is constipation, which results in excess food pressing against the swim bladder, which is a common problem in goldfish. The other problem is swallowing air at the surface of the tank when eating the wrong kinds of food, sudden changes in temperature, and multiple different kinds of infections. Often fancy goldfish will get that. There's nothing really different in that. But no, constipation is one of the most common causes of swim bladder disease. And it's not, like I said, it's not really a disease. It's just swim bladder problems with it. But it makes them float up to the top because often it can fill up with air and mess up the way that they swim and the way that they kind of go around. So yeah, they get constipated.
Well, I hope I didn't flush him down the toilet prematurely.
Yeah, imagine you're having a bad day, We've all been constipated. We've all had a day like that. And just imagine being constipated and you're kind of oh, and you're trying to move, and then someone flushes you down the toilet.
It's no, that's where I want my innards to go, not me.
Yeah, it's kind of an ironic death, isn't it, really?
It is, totally.
If you're constipated and then you get flushed down the toilet, there's not really a more ironic way to go.
You'd have to laugh, wouldn't you? Whilst you're drowning in your own toilet.
What other kind of that'd be like getting eaten when you're hungry.
Yeah.
You're just starving.
Absolutely starving, and then a lion comes along and just eats you.
Well, I'm glad someone's eating.
Yeah. Hope it tastes great.
Like a lion does make that noise. I suppose that is what.
Yeah. It probably sounds something like that.
Yeah. So the spider is essentially the lion of the insect world.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What about the praying mantis? So that's an apex predator in the insect kingdom, probably.
It is.
I mean, they take out non-insect things.
They
like
do.
Small mice, don't they, and things like that.
So if there was an alternative Lion King, but instead of mammals being about insects, what would the king be? We've gone far off Goldfish, but like just for a second. The praying mantis, maybe. I would say I can imagine a spider, because spiders seem very wise. They seem very patient. They kind of lay a trap and wait.
Yeah, I think spiders more so. Yeah, praying mantises, they're just, I don't know, they don't seem to fit the kind of.
They seem like the multi-millionaires or the baddie, or the really like Batman. They're like the superheroes. They go out and do things, but they're not the politicians. The politicians, the owls. Who are the owls of the insect kingdom?
Probably would be spiders.
I still think spiders. I think spiders. They often seem more intelligent. They are very intelligent than a lot of other insects that I kind of come across in my journey of life. And that's why, ignoring the fact that they can look very scary to a lot of people, they definitely look scary to me. There's often more of a guilt, isn't there, with killing a spider than there is, say, with a fly, because there's almost this idea of like, well, they're a bit smarter. Killing a chicken versus killing a dog feels very different, because like there's almost like we assume the amount of intelligence in those animals, or unless you're vegetarian or vegan, as I am as well, as I am. But when you really think about, I would even if I had to, if it was a life or death situation and a chicken was holding a gun to my family and I had to shoot the chicken and I'm sorry, chicken, and the chicken died, and I'd be like, oh God. And then the same thing happened, but with a dog, and it's an evil dog, I'd feel worse about killing even an evil dog, because I'd be like, you just didn't understand. You just had a bad upbringing. If a chicken's got a gut, I'd be like, you're just a chicken. You're just an annoying chicken. I wouldn't assume the chicken had a bad upbringing. I wouldn't have assumed the chicken was pouring boiling water down ants' nests, primarily because it's a source of food for them. So it wouldn't make much sense to kind of like destroy their own food source. But you never know, unless the Parliament of Owls told the chickens to destroy their food. It was like, right, you are destroying all the ants now. And the chickens are like, no, that's our food. And they're like, no. I don't know where this has gone. I'm so sorry. We've gone so far away from fish. Who would be the king of fish? Probably sharks. Octopus. Octopi. No, maybe they're more like the praying mantis. Maybe they are the more kind of superheroes.
I don't know. Rays are kind of majestic in a way.
They're like the horses, though. I imagine they're like...
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's what the kings would ride around on.
King mackerel?
No, mackerel are too tasty.
Yeah, there is a king mackerel, though. Salmon?
Okay, salmon. Maybe salmon. Yeah.
But the one thing we do know, probably not goldfish.
Probably not goldfish. And the knights of the fish world would be swordfish.
That is true. Knights.
So that they would work for the king.
They would work for the king. Yeah, they definitely would. Swordfish would work for the king. And the little seahorses, they'd be in the bands. They'd be like,
they would. Yeah.
They got little
and the
trumpets.
sturgeon and the ray.
Sturgeon. Oh yeah, the bass plays the brass.
Yeah, the bass do play the brass.
Who's the thing of soul?
Bass. It's not the newt, is it?
The newt is the bass of soul.
Because they're sea animals, aren't they? Not freshwater animals.
I typed in Under the Sea lyrics and I got Kiss the Girl lyrics. That's not how it works. Under the Sea, right? Let's go through. So the crab, the crab's quite in charge. The sturgeon and ray, they get the urge to play. They got the spirit, you can hear it. The newt play the flute. The carp play the harp. The plas play the bass. No, the plas play the bass. And they sound in sharp. The bass play the brass. The chub play the tub. The fluke is the Duke of Soul.
Oh, the fluke.
The fluke. The ray he can play, the lings on the strings, the trout rocking out, the blackfish she sings, the smelt and the sprat, they know where it's at, and oh, that blowfish blow.
So what's the goldfish's role in the kingdom?
In the kingdom, well, we already know.
Are they just the peasants?
They must be. I would say goldfish are the peasants. You've
got to have peasants in a kingdom.
You've got to have. I suppose if we use chessboards as a way of establishing different roles, the goldfish are the prawn. The prawns. The goldfish are the prawns.
That's too good.
That was
It's
an
too good.
accidental. That was an genuinely accidental joke. So,
But it's amazing.
yeah, so that would be the prawns, and then we have what would be the bishops? Maybe a crab would be a bishop, I suppose. They seem the rooks, the little castles would be the blowfish, I imagine.
Yeah.
The knights we already know.
Swordfish.
Queen, very versatile. Maybe that would be a shark or an octopus.
Yeah, maybe a whale shark, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, whale.
'Cause
Whale.
they're one of
Whale. It'd be a whale.
I mean, obviously, whale. Yeah.
Be a blue whale. Blue whale would be the
It
king.
would be a... Yeah.
That'd be the kingdom. You
king
could
of
live
the
in the
seas.
whale. You could live in the whale.
We can all live in the whale.
We can all live in the whale.
We could go and live in Wales.
We could go live in Wales.
Many Wales. We can all live in different Wales. I didn't mean a country, but we could live there too.
We could live in multiple whales like Jonah, just floating about. Little motorhome. They're the motorhomes of the sea. They're the motor towns.
Yeah. Damn right they are.
Living in them. All the goldfish. There'll be a lot. And you know who you'd be living with? With the goldfish. And they'd be not pets, but they would be our living friends.
Peers.
Our peers.
And friends. Friends as
And
well.
friends. So, do you think do you see a future having more fish? Owning more fish or an aquarium? Aside from buoyant when we have our office?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely buoyant. I don't know. I would like to have a fish tank. They look quite nice in the house. I'd have to research it and make sure I'm not contributing to a problem of some sort.
You know what? That was exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I think that
Yeah.
needs to be something. We don't have the answers, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yeah.
those that life betwixt. We just have thoughts that we are sharing with you live in mildly edited real time. So don't ask us for our opinion on that. This isn't that kind of show. We haven't
No.
researched it that much, but we do have just a couple more facts about goldfish. Goldfish can recognize faces.
Okay, that's the most interesting one you've told me yet, Chris. You said that you had already said the most interesting ones.
Yeah.
You're saving this,
I
weren't
was
you?
saving it. They can recognize faces, so that means Bubbles probably recognized your face. Probably would just
That's
be
some
like,
mind dynamite right there.
mind dynamite. Okay, so Dave, how long do you think a goldfish can live for?
12 years.
Double it.
24 years.
Double it.
48 years.
That's right. 40 years.
40 years.
Actually, the longest a goldfish has been lived apparently is said to be 45 years old, apparently.
Wow.
So, yeah, Goldie, the oldest fish. And that is referenced in an old BBC article. Yeah, Goldie, once again, not the most unique name to name your fish.
Not the most, no.
No, but and it's got my favorite ever thing, right? So, you know when a dog dies, like there was a load of there's a dog I followed on Instagram. I still follow, and I follow the owner on Instagram. And, you know, it was wonderful. And then when that dog died, it was horrible. And I genuinely, it ruined my day. I actually cried when I read it.
Oh,
like,
man,
this guy
I
wrote
can
this
imagine
really
that.
meaningful, and it was really like sad. And this guy had done like travel, you know, it's one that he did traveling, took loads of photos of this dog. It's Momo. A lot of people know it. Millions and millions and millions of people follow this dog and the guy, and everything was beautiful. And this guy wrote this really beautiful, moving, like, this dog helped me through my life. This was my friend, and it did all that, and it was really powerful. So, and that, you know, and that dog probably, like, I think was 13, 14. Really sad. Goldie was the oldest fish, died at 45. Do you want to know what their eulogy was?
He was a good fish.
Yeah, it was Goldie was one hell of a fish. It's the end of an era and a bit sad. That's it. That's it.
I mean, if that doesn't vindicate goldfish are quite mundane, I don't know what does.
Exactly right.
How can something live for 45 years and that's all you say at the end?
Exactly.
That's all you had for, like, yeah, well,
It's a bit sad, isn't it?
hell of a fish.
Admittedly, you know, if that, I probably wouldn't mind that on my gravestone. If that was like, he's one hell of a man.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of, you know, like, people don't get that on their gravestones.
Yeah, no, he's one hell of a, like a book quote, like a cover quote on a book.
Yeah, and like,
one hell
this
of a
wouldn't this
fish.
be like in the obituary in the newspaper or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, this is, you know, this is what we've really thought out when we want to say about the 45 years of Goldie's life. One hell of a fish. Basically, Goldie was a fish.
you know what?
If you you know, read between the lines and cut out the bump, Goldie was a fish.
It's true, you know.
I'm a little bit sad.
It's a bit sad that like,
Yeah,
like, it's the best.
it's not
bit.
even sad. It's just
a bit sad.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I was heartbroken at a dog
Yeah.
that had been alive for like 16 years, and I maybe, you know, and it probably I saw its Instagram for 2, and that was enough for me to really upset me. A fish that is 45, that is longer than we've been on this planet.
Yeah, by some distance.
Yeah, quite by some distance, it's just one hell of a fish. End of an era, bit sad. And and it's.
I mean, one thing's for sure, we will love Buoyant, and we will be at least sad when Buoyant finally goes. And we'll make an Instagram for Buoyant as well, and you'll get really attached to Buoyant and his antics.
And then they may outlive all of our podcasts. They might outlive us.
Yeah.
We might need to have like our children. You know, the best bit of this article about the world's oldest goldfish.
Go on.
The final line of this article, bbcnews.com. However, Goldie did not make it into the Guinness Book of World Records because there was no documentary proof was available to prove his age.
So it could have all just been a complete lie.
Been a complete lie. Like, there's nothing really.
If it was a lie, though, would you make that the eulogy, or would you make it sound a bit more like this fish has lived for 45 years?
You're right.
Or would you think really deeply into it, kind of like a double bluff or whatever, and think, nah, people are gonna. It's a goldfish. A goldfish is mundane. This must be a mundane fake obituary.
Right. And apparently, Sir Goldie was one of 3 goldfish won at a fair in 1960.
Oh, damn. Well, fair enough. Oh, there we go. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm proven wrong. Maybe they do live long.
Maybe they do. Well, they can, apparently. Oh, so it says Goldie has been buried in the Evans garden. And although Mr. and Mrs. Evans say their house was very empty without Goldie, they said they have no plans to replace him.
Probably got eaten by a cat as well.
Once again, if I was gone, you know, if I got to be fed to an animal and it made their day, especially as I'm going to die of starvation, clearly.
Yeah. Why not? You know, when I'm gone, feed me to something else that needs to eat something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, now that we've given out our funeral plans, inspired by the animal kingdom, we will bring our story together, our journey through the mundane of the podcast to the end. And I hope that your obituary is that because you know what? No, I don't even hope your obituary. Your life so far, listeners, just by listening to this podcast, you are one hell of a person.
Yeah.
And I'd be more than a bit sad if
more than a bit
sad if you left the room for a while.
Yeah.
You stopped
that
listening.
in itself would be the end of an era. If you left the room, I'd be like, well, it's the end of an era.
It's the end of the era of them. It's the end of the era of them listening to our podcast, of just us sharing our time together. And just by downloading this podcast, we have concrete proof that you have listened to this podcast.
We know you're listening now. You can't lie to us anymore.
You can't lie to us anymore.
Listening. I know how many of you like to tell us you're not listening. We know you are. Okay. So you can just come out and say it now. Oh, it's getting quite surreal.
This is getting quite surreal now. No, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Goldfishes, and your life. I hope your life is full of happy goldfish. You are one hell of. I don't know what to say. The goldfish has broken me.
I know. I feel like we should say that was a podcast. That was one hell of a podcast.
That was one hell of a podcast. The end of an era.
It's the end of a 45-minute or so era of talking, and I am a little bit sad that it's coming to an end. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit, you know.
But you know, there's hope because we'll be back.
We'll be back. Unlike Goldie, we will be back.
We live on.
We live on. This era is not over, ladies, gentlemen, and those that life betwixt. And we will be back. And we will be back with more mundane things in a couple of weeks.
Until then,
I hope you have a wonderful, amazing time. Thank you very much. I love you. And I love you, Dave.
Oh, I love you too, Chris. That was a great ending, in the end. I think we've had a really good start and a really good end. So thank you. Thank you for the podcast today as well. Thank you for telling me about Goldfish.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Thank you for being such an astute listener and for telling and sharing your story of Bubbles, who is now immortal.
Yeah, he
there
lives on forever.
Lives
now.
on, much like Goldie. Goldie has lived on through this podcast as
Yeah.
well. Good for you, Goldie.
Beautiful.
Good for you, Bubbles. And good for you at home for listening to The
Good for
Mundane
you
with Chris
all.
and Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
It's the Mundane Podcast.